Thank you to Sakuraco and TokyoTreat for sponsoring today's video. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So as you can see on my Procreate, I have a silhouette of a character, and if you can't tell, it is of my OC Masaki. I'll have a picture here if you want to know what he looks like usually, but I have basically a silhouette drawn of him and kind of like proportioned out so that we could draw his entire body. And the reason being is that I want to draw some random outfits for him, but based on whatever Pinterest kind of gives me. So I did choose an outfit that would happen to be on the front of my Pinterest so that I can kind of start somewhere with an outfit that I think he will wear. Now, I did have to change up my plan a little bit because initially I was going to blindly choose the outfits for Masaki via kind of like scrolling and with my eyes closed and then randomly selecting a kind of like suggested post by Pinterest's algorithm, but unfortunately because the way I click and I cannot tell if I'm clicking accurately, it's just very inconsistent. So it's easier for me, which you'll see a little bit later, is that I'm going to be using a number generator from 1 to 20, and whatever number it chooses, I will just count the number of posts until we get to the desired number that has been randomly generated. Now, for the most part, I'm going to be skipping any of like ads on Pinterest because I'm not going to count those as posts. And there's going to be one other instance where I get pretty much the same outfit rolled for me again. So I'm going to skip it and move on to the next one just because I don't want to draw the same outfit twice, even though it was like a different color palette, if that makes sense. We'll get to that when we get there. But for the first outfit, and just kind of like the general concept of how I wanted to do this is that not exactly like a lookbook, but I'm kind of debating I kind of want to make one in the future, but to keep all the outfits kind of consistent and kind of think a little bit more on how Masaki would, like how the outfit would be worn on Masaki's body, I did want to have a consistent kind of like template or just a way for me to make sure that things were a little bit more consistent. So I wanted to have some kind of like, I guess like a blank template, which happens to be the silhouette, so that I could easily draw on top. So the first outfit, I do have kind of this brownish, or I guess like the colors are not going to match entirely just because of how my webcam is going to pick it up. So I'll make sure to put the finished drawing at the very end of each session. But I thought this outfit suited him the most just because it does have a little bit more closer to his color palette, which tends to be either browns and greens or anything of that more muted earthy tone. But I do like the combination of some kind of like cooler tone with a warmer tone together, especially for Masaki's outfit. I feel like he would wear a lot of browns as well, so I feel like either turquoise or a little bit of greens would fit him the most anyways. So this is very much up his kind of color palette for his outfit and just like general aesthetic for him. So it was kind of easy for me to use this as kind of like the starting point for the entire outfits that we're going to be doing today. But to make sure I keep everything kind of like in the video, I do end up doing 6 different outfits just because I thought I would want to do a variety, and then later on, if I can, I'll draw him actually in the outfits and we'll do illustrations of them because I think that could have been fun, kind of like a lookbook. But for the most part, all I did was that I sketched on top of the template. I set the sketch to multiply. After that, I will put another layer underneath and we can start to color and shade and kind of just establish a little bit of the wrinkles and just how would the kind of article of clothing sit on Masaki's body. But I'm trying my best to tailor it a little bit towards how it is presented in the in the Pinterest post, rather than drawing it how I would think it would suit Masaki, because I do have a tendency to draw clothes in a certain way for Masaki because I usually kind of cater his outfits in a particular way, and I don't know, I like to draw him a lot with sweaters and cardigans, so I feel like I don't really branch out to other outfits, especially because I draw him the most. So this is kind of a nice way to kind of free up a little bit of that thinking and just draw whatever Pinterest gives me. But I think that's it for the first outfit. So it's really cute. I love the earthy tones and I think it suits him super well. So here's kind of the quick finished result, and we'll move on to the next one. Now with one outfit done, let's take a quick break as I tell you more about TokyoTreat and Sakuraco. Experience Japan from the comfort of your own home with their beautifully packed snack boxes. They are themed for Halloween and the autumn season. TokyoTreat is the monthly pop Japanese snack subscription box with 20 of the latest exclusive limited edition and seasonal flavored Japanese snacks that are only available in Japan for a limited time, like Sakura Pepsi, Japanese sake Kit Kat, ramen, and much more. These boxes are always so well packed and super filled with a lot of these yummy snacks that range from sweet to savory, crunchy to soft, and just lots of new snacks to choose from. From this selection, there are already some of these snacks that I've been kind of eyeing to try out for a little bit later, but we'll get that in a little bit. While Sakuraco is an authentic Japanese snack subscription box, Sakuraco supports local Japanese snack makers, and each of the box come with 20 traditional, authentic, and artisan Japanese snacks, but also includes Japanese teas and a special Japanese tableware. The snacks from this box usually suit my palate the most. For this month's box, it has included this brocade flower dish that is hand-painted by artisans at Bloom with the traditional hues of indigo vibrant flowers. Both boxes come with a 24-page cultural guide, and the booklet includes information on each of the snacks in the box. This includes cultural information relating to that month and the location. The information also includes the allergen information and ingredients for the snacks, also mentions if the snack is vegetarian friendly or not. Each month has a different theme, meaning that you get to try a whole new selection of treats and snacks every month. For example, TokyoTreat's box theme for the month of October is Halloween Snack Haul, which is perfect for the spooky season. While Sakuraco's theme is Kyoto Crimson Leaves, I always wish that I could have visited Kyoto during the autumn season. If you didn't know, Kyoto is known for their traditional atmosphere, temples, shrines, and Japanese gardens. Unfortunately, I was only able to do a day trip to Kyoto when I was in Japan a few summers ago, but to accompany with some of the snacks as well, I like to try out the tea that came in the Sakuraco box. I think that they usually pair super well with the snack selection and kind of cut some of that sweetness. I don't have too much of a sweet tooth. I have my mug here, and the tea for this month is this beautiful hojicha tea, which is a roasted green tea, and it has this really nice kind of roasted aroma and a rich flavor, and I kind of had an urge to drink this cold, but I love hojicha hot, so I could not resist just boiling it as is. I was hoping that there was something like a sweet potato flavored snack, as it's kind of the autumn season in Japan as well, and this Kit Kat did not disappoint. It does taste quite a bit like sweet potato, so this is definitely something I was looking forward to. I also tried some of the smaller snacks like the Halloween cookies, the teeny tiny monster chocolates, and the Halloween jelly gummies. I don't really like the texture of jelly beans in general, but since this has a little bit more of that gummy texture, it's a little bit more to my liking. So for Sakuraco, I can never go wrong with their tea choices, so that's going to be always high up on my list. Highly recommend trying out hojichas if you haven't. I also haven't had the time to try it yet, but I know one of my favorites will be the yuzu dorayaki. I absolutely love dorayaki, and I make them at home quite a bit, and I really love the flavor of yuzu. So I know them together would taste amazing, but I also really like the hine rinpon, which is a delicately twisted and fried arare, which is kind of like a fried cracker. And one last thing that I tried is the sansho arare, which is something that I had to kind of look up just to make sure that I was correct. So I've had sansho peppers before, but I wasn't sure if I was remembering correctly. And sansho peppers kind of have that little bit of numbing flavor rather than the typical spice from peppers. So for me, it kind of felt a little bit like a cooling sensation or a little bit buzz on my tongue, which I'm kind of low-key addicted to this flavor from this particular snack, so I'm really enjoying this one. So if you would like to get a box for yourself or want to give these as a lovely gift to your friends and family, then do check out the links in the description. I think that would be a great gift since the holiday season is definitely coming up super quickly. Thank you again to Sakuraco and TokyoTreat for sponsoring today's video. Now let's go draw the rest of Masaki's random outfits. So now that we can move on to the second one. So you can see I have a number generator right here. It generated a number which I do not remember what it is, and I'm an idiot for having it cut off screen, but you'll see the last result on the next one as well, because I'll make sure to have the same number rolled before we start a new session. So this is the next outfit. Now, I didn't have time to talk about this in the first outfit while I was drawing it, but some of the outfits, I guess, did not include shoes or whatever is on past like the knees. So I did have to figure out a little bit of the fit of some of the pants, or like the pant cuffs or whatever you want to call it, as well as like any socks or accessories, like anything like that, and shoes. So like I should have mentioned probably earlier is that I don't really have a good fashion sense. If anything, the way that Masaki is often dressed is kind of how I dress myself too. I wear a lot of more like oversized sweaters. I wear cardigans a lot. I wear just like hoodies. I also wear just anything over tank tops kind of things, like kind of like button-down shirts or anything like that, just anything that's a little bit more loose, a little bit comfortable. And I wear the same pants over and over again, which tends to be like either dark kind of jegging jean type of pants or just a bunch of leggings. So that's kind of like the extent of my knowledge about fashion. I don't know too much, so it's kind of nice being able to draw whatever Pinterest gives me and kind of learn a little bit more about color palettes together, plus like how other people style clothing. And I think it's kind of fun doing this way where I am kind of just placing the clothes on top of Masaki, almost like paper doll kind of way, but I am trying my best to also render in shade so that they don't read entirely flat, as if like later on I just think it's kind of nice to leave the folds in, and if there's patterning or anything like that, I think it just looks kind of nice as a more completed drawing or illustration for later. So at the very end, I'll be showing all 6 outfits anyways, so hopefully you guys can see that. I don't know if it's hopefully, it's more like eventually, because I did 6 and each of these took about maybe an hour or 2. I think I spent maybe 7-8 hours in total drawing all 6. So I spent a lot of time drawing the outfits. I think it's an hour each. I spent a lot longer drawing something else, which I'll show you guys in kind of like at the end of the video as well. But for the outfits, I also tried to keep in mind a little bit of kind of melding the colors a little bit when we get to the shadows. So you can see even in the browns, I have some cooler grays that were kind of pulled from like the belt area. I think he had a bit of like, I don't know. I just wanted to add a little bit of cooler shadows back into the shirt. And then for the pants, I took some of that warmer color from the shirt and placed it into some areas for highlights and just to make sure that the pants have a little bit more dimension. So for the shoes, I decided to go with something that resembles a little bit more like dress shoes, and I picked the gray socks to match the kind of grayish jacket that he was holding. I also added a little bit of a watercolor texture over top of his shirt, just because I think the outfit has a tiny bit of a texture that I could not really identify. So here's kind of the outfit. I kind of wish I made the pants a little bit darker because I don't think it suits super well. Next up, we have another number generation, which is 7. So like I said, I'm skipping ads. So the way I'm counting, hopefully you guys can tell that I'm not like selectively picking the posts rather than, you know, actually following the actual number of whatever the number generator actually gives me. So after that, we have selected the next outfit. And to be honest, this is probably my favorite outfit out of the entire 6 that were selected, including the first one. Just because the first one actually was one of my favorites because it's very cozy, comfy, it's very warm towards the color palette, and just kind of more like chunkier sweater. I think it just looks really cute. But this kind of fit for Masaki, I just think looks really nice. I love a longer, kind of like darker, kind of like almost army greenish colored coat. I might be a little bit too biased towards this color palette anyways. I also tend to wear, like, my jackets tend to be kind of like an army green as well. But I really do like the turtleneck, which tends to be more of a burgundy, almost brownish color. And then we have a lighter brown for kind of like an inside shirt. Or not inside shirt, a overshirt, I guess, kind of like a button up. And then we kind of have a really long, almost either trench coat or pea coat on top of that. And I really like the long coat on him. I just think it looks really nice, especially kind of more for that autumn kind of weather. So the thing that I noticed that Pinterest's kind of algorithm, I don't know why I said it so funnily. The way that they have their posts are very much like almost color palette driven for these ones. So a lot of them are going to be very earthy toned, a little bit more of those autumn colors, probably because the first one that I chose was kind of that aesthetic. But the number 6 is going to be kind of a surprise and probably will throw you in a loop for a little bit because it doesn't suit him at all. And I knew I kind of wanted to end on an outfit that did not really suit him, but I was not expecting to get this. So yeah, hopefully you'll stick around to the 6th one, or maybe you'll skip to the 6th one, whichever. But for the most part, I wanted to include the little snippets of each of the outfits so you can kind of see how I'm kind of rendering them. I didn't full render them to the full extent of like making sure there's no sketchy lines or anything like that, and because I did spend quite a bit of time individually on each of them, after this one I think I started to lose steam really quick. So I do apologize that the next 2 might look a little bit rough compared to the first 3. I think I was just getting tired of drawing clothes. I think I mentioned in previous videos that my favorite thing to draw in general, whenever I do get to draw or sketch, tends to be the face for the most part. Even like when I was younger, I would doodle eyes and faces the most, and I didn't really care about like the body or the clothing. It was just hair and the face that I cared about the most, if anything. But here I did have a lot of fun just like rendering the clothing so that I could play around a little bit of like color shifts and kind of, I didn't really get the opportunity to play around with the, I guess like the material of the clothing as much. I think I mentioned a long time ago that I wanted to do either like studies of leather clothing or something a little bit more metallic or shiny, or I guess because like I tend to draw more chunkier, thicker clothing. I think I don't have a problem too much like expressing that, but kind of like thin, crisp clothing, maybe I'll struggle with a little bit more. So maybe another kind of clothing study or exploration could be something very fun to do. And I would like to do this also I would like to do this for the rest of my OCs, just because it's kind of fun letting the algorithm pick the different outfits for my OCs, because like I said, I don't really have a good fashion sense, so I tend to draw and dress my OCs in a certain way that seems to, I don't know, like they have the same bread and butter kind of outfits over and over again. I feel like maybe Sato's kind of the exception, just because I do have a lot of freedom just playing around with the kind of type of clothing that I like to give her. But to not get too sidetracked, this is kind of the final look for the 3rd outfit. And like I said, this one's probably my favorite. I do like the pants. I think they look really cute. I gave him really plain looking shoes and darker socks. I had no idea what socks would go with that outfit, so if you have a suggestion, please let me know and maybe I'll change it. But yeah. After this outfit, we got another number. So I'm just counting and I'm making sure to skip those ads, which tend to be food ads I am seeing. And we have another very much earthy toned kind of outfit that was similar to some of the other ones. Now for, I guess like his pants, also actually, the shirt. I never really drawn more of a, it's not quite cropped. Or I guess it might be cropped, just because he kind of has more of higher waist pants, so it's kind of cropped a little bit higher for the jacket and with long sleeves. I never draw this kind of fit for Masaki that often, and also a lot of the pant selections for Masaki tend to be a little bit more looser, or kind of the, I don't know what kind of style of pants these are, but they seem a little bit more crisp, a little bit less tight on the legs. They're kind of more slightly bellowy. I think there's one more outfit later. I think it's the one after this that has very much more looser pants, which I feel like I didn't really like how it fit on Masaki in general, but I wanted to make sure that it was similar to how the image had it because it was very loose and very baggy. But for this one, I do think it turned out pretty cute. I think it's more of an error on my part once we get to the actual coloring portion that I might have made the colors a little bit too bright compared to how it was on my phone. So even though I know there will be a difference between like your phone's colors versus like your camera colors and also your computer's colors, heck, while you guys even see it on screen, you're probably going to see it as a different color. But because I'm going to put the reference and my version on the screen, you'll kind of see the color difference quite drastically. Because on camera, or like how I have it recorded and just like my settings and stuff, the green seemed a little bit more that yellowy, earthier toned, and it's a little bit more muted. But once I show you the actual final on the recording program that I have, you'll see that it's actually quite vibrant, and I don't really like super bright greens. I kind of treat it the same way as like orange. I don't really like super bright orange either. I like a muted orange or a pastel orange, but I also like pastel green, but I also like kind of more of a muted, earthier toned green or anything. I think, yeah, I like earthier greens like in general. I think they just look super pretty. So yeah, this one's not exactly my favorite. I also feel like maybe I should have just maybe subdued the pattern a little bit. I think only 3 of them had patterning somewhere in the outfit. So this one will have it on the shirt. The previous one had it on the pants, and then I think the next one will also have it on the shirt. And I think I render it in a very weird way, so I do apologize if it kind of looks a little funky. It is going to be more like a sweater type anyway, so I wasn't sure how to render it properly in a way that made sense. We'll just get to that once we get there. But for the most part, I had just a fun time rendering the kind of folds and shading the clothing and kind of mixing and matching kind of those warm tones into the kind of cooler shadows, bringing some of those cooler colors from the other kind of like the greens and stuff back into the brown so that we can kind of mesh them all together. After that, I made a new layer, clipped it to the clothing layer that is on Masaki's silhouette, and then I went ahead and did a very light stripy kind of patterning going horizontal on the arms, and then we'll go vertical on the kind of like body area. Then I'll make another new layer and we can do the opposite for the stripes because it kind of has more like a kind of like gingham. Is it gingham? It's like a grid patterning on the shirt. Like I said, I feel like it distracts a little bit too much with the way probably how I drew it. I would have liked to maybe made the kind of lines a little bit more subdued, or just to lighten them up a bit to the point where they're not competing too much, because it does, to me at least, feel a little bit too busy. And maybe it's because I don't wear a lot of patterns or don't prefer a lot of patterns that maybe it's too busy for me. But we'll move on to kind of like the last outfit that I'll show you the drawing process of, because I'm gonna keep the 6th one a secret until we do kind of like the little overview of all the outfits that I ended up drawing today for, just today's video, because in the future I would like to do more for either the rest of my OCs or continuing building up kind of Masaki's wardrobe in this weird fashion. So this one, the fit for it is quite cute, especially on whoever's modeling the clothing or is in that photo. But the way that I drew it for Masaki became extremely baggy that I feel like it just didn't really fit him. I also think that maybe the way that I drew kind of like the sweater vest just doesn't really fit super well. Maybe I should have just made it a very chunky but very rigid, kind of like going down without like having the shape of the body too much, or have it kind of folding on itself. Maybe would have read a little bit better. So for this one, I also could see the shoes, kind of. The shoes that I kind of could see from the bottom of the picture, it looked like sneakers for the most part. I could see that there is kind of almost 3 separate colors, or I guess it was 2 separate colors, but then also the person's socks, which I don't know if it's just me. I kind of wish I added more red into the outfit so that the socks didn't stand out too much, because I think if I remember correctly, the socks were kind of more of a burgundy or red, and there was no other red present in the outfit. So I don't know if it stood out too much compared to everything else, which it kind of irked me a little bit, but I'll let you guys decide whether or not this outfit looks cohesive enough. I guess like in the terms of how I drew it, because I think the outfit looks cute in the picture, but I'm probably just bad at portraying it, especially like here where I'm drawing and trying to paint it, because maybe it's my color choices that are kind of making it look a little bit more absurd in my opinion. But also, I think I should have talked about this too. So the way that I'm coloring these clothing. So initially when I was coloring, I would do them section by section and just do kind of like color blocking, and then I'll shade each individual piece. But I found it a little bit annoying because I kept going out of the lines, and it's kind of slower for me to lay down a color just to erase it to make it look clean. So I found it easier for me to pick a color, and I'll color the entirety of the silhouette of the clothing. Then I'll alpha lock it, and then we can kind of like slowly select certain areas for me to color. So because the majority of the underneath clothing was kind of this white color, I decided to shade that first, and as we build up with the layers of clothing, I'll build up the layers of the colors. So next would be the green of the shirt, or like the vest I guess, and then later on would be the pants, so that I could kind of pick the colors and render them kind of separately before we actually end up changing the sketch colors, merging it, and then also just doing the actual rendering, which is very much just me darkening up some of the outlines, and if it needs textures, I'll add textures. But because I'm treating it a little bit looser than like my fully rendered stuff, I did not really care if there's some straggly lines here and there, or if I didn't darken up every portion or made sure that every outline looks super clean. I just made sure to kind of correct anything that I needed to, because you can see here I colored outside of the lines for the most part, because I wanted to correct how I thought this is like, I guess it's like a vest cardigan kind of thing situation, like a button-up vest I guess might be the best way of this like describing it. But having that sit on his body in a weird way, I wanted to make it a little bit more baggier at the bottom, so I extended it on the sides, but I also extended it below. So instead of redrawing my sketch, I just chunked it in with color, erased my sketch so that I could just pop it back in a little bit later. Now, this outfit is pretty much done, so here's kind of what it looks like. It's one of my least favorite, so I do apologize that it looks kind of funky. Now, we are moving on to the 6th one, but I mentioned earlier that I am not going to be showing you guys the process of it, just to keep it a little bit of a surprise. So I chose this one because that's what the number generator has selected for Masaki's outfit, but because we're skipping over it, let's do a quick overview of the outfits. So I'm gonna darken up the silhouette so that we can have this appear, because I did not draw just the silhouette. I drew Masaki in his normal outfit like this, so you can see what he looks like usually, which is the apron, the sweater, the pants, the kind of like boots. Here he has usually also a bracelet. But I drew them in different layers because I wanted to also be able to put the clothing underneath his neck or his head, so I could kind of like treat it more naturally. So his head's on a separate layer. I also put the apron and his keys on a separate layer so that we have Masaki like that. Now don't be alarmed, I did draw him without his sweater and his pants and his boots, but I do have him with some clothes underneath, which kind of causes a little bit of a problem later, because I kind of wish I gave him shorter socks so that they didn't get in the way of some of the outfits, as well as his tank top was a little bit too high for one of the outfits, but I wasn't expecting that to happen, so I did just draw it like that. But because I drew over the silhouette like this, it's kind of easy for me to just pop on the outfits for him because they kind of fit super properly like this. So here's the first one. Here is the second one. And this is where you can see that tank top is kind of peeking through. I actually really like this outfit too. I don't draw him in a lot more like formal, more kind of dressed up look. But this one's super cute and it's my favorite. I just like the entire color palette. I think it fits his demeanor as well. But here's the next one of Masaki as well. I think it looks super cute, but not loving the green. This one, he looks very old-fashioned. So it's not my favorite. And the last one, which was the surprise, is this one, because this is not gonna be part of his outfit or his, I guess, his closet. But it was just funny to draw him in something that definitely does not fit him. And I don't mean exactly the style, because if Masaki wanted to wear dresses, I'm not gonna stop him. But the color palette just doesn't fit him at all. I definitely think it would fit my OC Sato a lot more. So here's kind of his overall wardrobe minus the sixth one, and there's a few other outfits that I would like to add, and probably in the future I'll do some for also the rest of my OCs, just because it's kind of like a neat way to kind of expand their closet and their wardrobe. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll talk to you guys next time in the next video. Bye!